it's Tracy from Two Rocks Tarot, and in this episode of Let's Talk About, I'm actually going to be talking about the signs that I have, or my father and I have received from my mother, who passed away on the 10th of May at the age of 91. So as you know, I've taken a break from making videos. I mean, I've done a few posts on my community tab, and that's about it. So I suppose let's get started. Okay, so I managed to get there on the 8th of May, which is actually Mother's Day. My brother picked me up from the airport, and I went and actually got to see my mum. Now, she wasn't conscious at this stage, and the nurses were telling me that she was actively dying, and that she's probably waiting for me to get there before she moves on. So I got there on the 8th of May and, spent some time with her. And then on 2:30 a.m. on the Tuesday, she passed away in the morning. So now I'm not sure on exactly, because it's been a while now, because the end of June, but I'm not sure exactly how the events happen. But I'm pretty sure the night that she passed away, that the following, on that particular night, when we went to bed on the Tuesday, my father said that he woke up and he saw at the foot of his bed, which was my mother's side of bed, like a dark type of a mass, and the hairs on the back of his neck stood up. And then he turned around and fell asleep. He just, like, a complete calm came over him because he was having trouble falling asleep. And when he saw that, a complete calm came over him, and he turned over and fell asleep. Now, prior to me getting to seeing my mum, the whole month before, probably even 2 months, I haven't been able to sleep. I've been really, really having sleepless nights. And funny enough, I slept like a baby on that on that night. And that bed, actually, the bed that I'm staying on, they've got in the spare room. It's really like a sunroom, and they've got a sofa bed, but the mattress is so lumpy. You get springs digging into your back and everything like that. And I didn't think I'd sleep at all, and I actually slept like a baby on that night. It was amazing. It really, really was. Now, it's really, really cold, in South Australia at night. It's a lot colder than it is here in Perth. And so my dad said, look, there's a blanket in the bag there, and, put that on. So I actually did. I actually got up and I put the blanket on the bed. Now, when my kids were little, this is going to sound funny, but Mum used to make a lot of their clothes for them when they were kids. Made a lot of knitted toys and things like that, and they always used to say to me, oh, Mum, I can smell Nana's hands. And I tell you what, that blanket, I could smell my mum's hands. It was really, really weird. And my lymphedema in this arm, now probably because it's colder there too, seemed to reduce a fair bit. It was almost like her hands were upon me and she was healing me. I know it sounds really weird. Now, I've said before how strong an atheist my mother was. I can't really stress that enough, that she really did not believe in... She wasn't spiritual at all. She was very open-minded to it, very open-minded. We used to have some, when I used to talk about things, she was very open-minded to it, but she wasn't sure about it. And to have her turn up so soon after she passed away, like to be there with Dad, was truly amazing, because I know, I do spirit messages, those of you who followed my channel for a while. And sometimes people say, oh, how come I haven't heard from so-and-so, or haven't had any dreams or anything like that? Because often the spirit's not strong enough. Sometimes it takes a good year or two, even more, for their spirit to become strong enough to come and leave you messages. But to have my mum turn up on that actual night, that very night, really blows my mind. It really, really does, And that night before we went to bed, my father and I were just talking, and he was just standing in front of the fire. And he said to me, this is going to sound really weird, but I feel my mother around me. And I said, well, you know what that is, don't you? And he said, what? And I said, she's letting you know that Mum's with her, because they were very, very close. My mum and my dad's parents were very, very close. They had a very strong bond. So that was, and for Dad to feel that too is pretty amazing, because Dad is 90 as well. So that was one thing. The same night that my dad felt or saw my mum, I know it was her. the curtains in my bedroom, because it's a sunroom, it's got a sliding door, for the, to go out into the backyard. Well, the curtains were rippling, and it's like, when a cat walks behind your curtains, the curtains were rippling, and it kind of looked a bit dark, and I'm sort of looking at the, imagining things, and I went straight to sleep. Then I just went straight to sleep, and it was only when my dad told me in the morning that I clicked on about the curtains, so that was another thing. Then the next day, so this would have been Thursday morning, I'd say. She passed on the Tuesday. I was standing in the kitchen. I got up fairly early and I was just waiting for the kettle to boil, and I heard my dad's bedroom door click open. I thought, he must be getting up, because I sort of just, I didn't disturb him, wanted him to sleep as much as he could. And he didn't get up, and I thought, I must have been hearing things. So I made my coffee, and I went and sat in the lounge room, and then he opened the lounge room door, and his eyes were like golf balls. And he said to me, "Did you open my bedroom door?" And I said, "No." He goes, the door opened. He said, "I saw," and that door is so hard to open. To shut it, you've really got to push it for it to click. And Mum never liked sleeping with the bedroom door shut, and it opened. It opened by itself. So then again, we knew it was her again. The Friday we had the viewing of Mum's body. I didn't actually want to go, but I asked my dad if he wanted me to go, and he said yes. And I thought, oh shit, we got to the funeral home. And I went to get out, and he said, "Oh, are you coming in?" I said, "Yes." He thought I was just going to sit in the car. So I'd written a letter to my mum that I tucked into the coffin with her. And, it ended up being really brought closure to my father and I, but it wasn't awful like I thought it would be. They'd done a fantastic job. Because I did send a text message, don't put any makeup, because Mum always hated wearing makeup, and honestly, she just looked like she was asleep on the couch. She looked beautiful. They did a fantastic job for her. They really, really did. She just so at peace, so beautiful, and it really brought, and it was such a beautiful shared moment that I shared with my father. It was amazing. For us, that brought the closure that we both needed, because, the last 2 years was when she got really sick and I couldn't come because, I had breast cancer, and then it was COVID. I couldn't travel, and I still wasn't sure if I could travel with my lymphedema, and I couldn't get there any earlier because my first appointment to go in to see, checking my mastectomy and all that was on the 16th of March, so I couldn't actually get there till the 8th of May, But that really, really did bring us the closure, more so than the funeral on the following Monday. It was, it was amazing. And for those of you who are very hesitant about going to see a viewing, I really urge you to do it. It really does. It makes you feel better, which is a really funny thing to say, but it really, really did. It made me feel better. And I know there have been some horrific stories about viewings. I do know personally about someone who saw their mother, and it was just awful for her. They just basically didn't do anything to make her look nice, to make her look presentable. Mum looked beautiful. She looked so at peace. She really, really did. So I'm very, very glad that I went and saw her. I really, really am. So we kept on seeing, and while I was there, I kept, really every time I went to bed, I kept smelling my mum's hands. I know it's weird, but I kept smelling her hands on that bloody blanket. There was darkness in the doorway. When I got home, now this is truly amazing. When my mum's brother passed away, I don't know now, she must have been about 3 or 4 years ago, she told me that when she was travelling to Melbourne, that first she saw a truck that had Hamburg written on it, and that's where she was born, in Germany, in Hamburg. And she said, how weird to see that. And I said, Mum, that's him letting you know that he's okay. And she goes, you think so? I said, yeah. And she goes, well, I'll tell you something else that's weird. Apparently my uncle for years and years and years used to donate to the Fred Hollows Foundation. She said when they got home, there was a Fred Hollows Foundation letter in the letterbox. And she said in the 30 years that they'd lived at that place, not once did they ever get a Fred Hollows donation-like form. And I said, and again, I said, well, there you go. That's the double whammy, letting you know he's all right. The day I got back from South Australia, I looked in the letterbox, and I've lived here for 6 years. And you know what was in there, don't you? A Fred Hollows Foundation donation envelope. I could not believe. I rang my dad and told him, and we both started crying on the phone. It was amazing. That was, I've never had one from Fred Hollows, and I haven't had, just sitting there. 6 years I've lived here, and it's never happened. And another sign. And I'm just going to go and grab something. So then, of course, I also got a sympathy card from the beautiful Evie from Fairy Ring Whispers. And, of course, my father gave me my mother's jewellery while I was there. And as you can see, it's got dragonflies. And look what's on there, the dragonfly. Now, that's another sign. Now, I've never seen this dragonfly on my mum ever wear it. But she must have, because it looks like that must have had jewels in it at one stage, or at least on the bottom, and they're not in there anymore. So I've never seen her wear it. But to come home and to get a sympathy card with dragonflies, and that was part of her jewellery, it just blew my mind. It absolutely blew my mind. Now, my husband, he had to go away for a couple of days, and I can't tell you how many noises and things that I was hearing up this end of the house, because this house is where all my woo-woo stuff is. So it's our office. So, of course, that's my husband's stuff behind me. All my crystals are on the shelves up there. And over that side there, I've got my tarot cards, and I've got some on my desk here as well. So I was hearing a lot of noises, and I knew it was Mum, because she never got to see this house, and indeed Dad hasn't seen it either. So they never got to see it. She never got to see it. So I'm sure it was her looking around at the house, laying in bed. And again, I've always got salt lamps on in the lounge room, and one in the kitchen. I sort of kept it on for the cats when they were kittens, because they were very, very small. I just sort of keep them on now. So the crack in the door, you always saw the pink, from the salt lamps. Well, there was a darkness, so I knew that someone was standing there looking at me. I also woke up, and the window was towards the left-hand side, and there was just like a bright, almost like a sparkler spark, sparkles and ones that like that in silver just appeared. And then the following night, the same thing happened, but then I saw two sparkles on this time was on the right-hand side, my side of the bed near the door, like two sparkles just appear out there. And I wasn't too sure if that really was Mum at first, because I wasn't sure that spirits appeared like that in sparkles. But then I was reading Elizabeth Harper, and she said that sometimes spirits and angels can be seen as sparkles. So it's interesting that I saw only one sparkle one night. The following night I saw two. So it makes me wonder if there was somebody with her. She brought somebody with her to look on to me, sort of thing. I don't know. I think that's about it. But yeah, it's pretty incredible. I also had a couple of dreams as well from her. The first dream that I had, she was sitting, and I don't recognise the house, but she was sitting on a house on a veranda with a wraparound veranda in some beautiful garden reading a book. Mum was an avid reader like I am. And she looked up, she put the book down, she looked up and put the book down and smiled at me, and I smiled at her, and I pushed a branch under the way, I walked under the tree and walked towards her. Now, when I first had this dream, I thought it was actually my next door neighbour. I've got an elderly next door neighbour. But then I realised, no, that was Mum. But I hadn't seen Mum look so... She still had the grey hair and everything, but she kind of looked more youthful. It's hard to describe. It was really, really weird. And yeah, it was a funny thing. So and it was another really weird dream where we were sitting at a table, and she wasn't very happy with me. We did used to fight a fair bit. It was something, I don't know. And for some reason, a bunch of flowers caught on fire in front of us on the table, and I took them and I put them in the vase of water, and they said, "Oh, sorry, Mum, you're going to drink that, weren't you?" And she sort of gave me this, she had this facial expression when she wasn't happy with me that she did. So I've been trying to Google what that actually means. I'm going to look in my dream dictionary because I've got a better dream dictionary. So I've been having some really weird dreams lately. So I have had a couple of dreams about her as well. But it's incredible. And the reason I made this video, I wasn't going to do it, but the reason I did is because there must be so many of you out there who are spiritual but have got either friends or family members who aren't, and, they're very adamant about it. I mean, my husband keeps saying that once you're dead, there's nothing on the other side. And I keep telling him, how can you say that when we've had so many signs from Oscar and from Blackie? Like, it's freaking amazing. And he's actually seen his grandfather as well. It's quite funny that he persists in saying that, but he's probably just trying to stir me up as well, because that's the type of marriage we have. So it's and I just wanted to let you know that you can get signs, but you've got to be able to recognise them when you get them. I knew straight away that Fred Hollows. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it when I saw that letter. I was having the beautiful dragonfly that was part of Mum's jewellery, and then Evie's picking out that card to send to me. I mean, and also I think too this could have been a thanks as well, because Evie did write a candle and lit a candle and did a beautiful prayer for my mum, which I actually showed my father, and he was really, really touched. And that could be Mum's way of thanking Evie as well, letting her know that she felt that and she appreciated it. All these things are signs, and I just wanted to make this particular video to let you know that you might have the strongest atheist friend or family member in your circle, but they will send you signs. They definitely will. And I'm so glad that I was able to recognise them, and even my father as well, because I kind of get the woo-woo-ness from my father, because he's always interested in ghosts, and we used to have fascinating conversations when I was a kid. He always talking about England, and that's why my youngest daughter went and lived there for a couple of years, because she loved listening to all the stories about him growing up in England. So don't give up, I mean, I still can't believe that Mum come like that day, that night, she came. She was strong enough, but she was a pretty forceful, headstrong woman, so I shouldn't really be surprised that, that she showed up so soon. But usually, it can take a few months to a year to a couple of years, and sometimes longer. And sometimes some people won't turn up because, I don't know, it's just the way it is, or people have closed themselves off that much that no matter if they put a sign, if you outside with, I am here, they still wouldn't see it. Do you know what I'm saying? Because some people just cannot open themselves up to that possibility. They've got a blockage in them somewhere. But don't give up. They will let you know that they are okay. I know she's okay. I knew she was going to be okay. I knew she knew I was there. And, when you are spiritual, it's a good comfort, because they're going to be with their loved ones again, just know it. And even the house, I was afraid it was going to feel really empty without Mum. And it's really like she's still there. Even Dad says that. He said that it just feels like she's still there. Only sometimes, he goes to talk to her, and of course she's not, which is really hard. But he's got her ashes now, and she's home. And another thing we did, there is a photo, I'm not going to show for privacy reasons, but I've got a lovely photo of them. I've made like a small shrine in memory to my mum with a few of her things that, that she liked. Owls being one of them, and I didn't realise that she liked owls as well. And I've actually got an owl candle holder on her shrine. But I've had, I made that when I come back, but I also got a jumper with an owl on it that I packed at the last minute, and Dad looked at it and he said, Mum loved owls. And indeed I've got a beautiful little brooch of a couple of little owls, and I'm just going to get the stones refixed in the eyes. That was hers. So I've made her a little shrine, and the picture I chose was them when they were young at a party, both laughing. She's got her head thrown back laughing, and Dad said it was taken at 2:00 in the morning. And he said to me, I put that picture in a frame next to her. So we both of us chose exactly the same picture to put near in memory of Mum, which I thought was another amazing thing as well. And there was something else. I also forgot to mention that after we actually saw the viewing of her body, I was thinking, when my dad and I were driving home, I was thinking to myself, I wonder where she is, because she was a very strong atheist. I wonder where she is. And as soon as I thought that, we crested over the hill, and there was a pub that we used to go to when my husband and I still lived in South Australia, on the left-hand side, and there was a massive pair of rainbow angel wings painted on the side of the pub. I kid you not. As soon as I thought that was the first thing I saw as we crested over the hill, and I thought, well, there's my answer, isn't it? And I was just very, very surprised, because there was no wings like that. And I said to Dad, how long have they been on the side of the pub? And he said, only for about a month or two. And I told him what I was thinking, and he goes, well, he couldn't believe it. So that was another thing that happened as well. Of course, I didn't realise when I went to, when I flew out to see Mum, that I would, that she would pass away. So I extended my stay for another week, because I wanted to do everything that I could to help my father, like packing her clothes and things. So I didn't really have anything to wear. I just, packed warm clothes. So we were walking around, and we just happened to look in this shop. It's called Dimmy's here in Australia. It's just like it's like a Dollar Tree shop, but they've got all different types of things. And then I saw this top in here, and I knew straight away that's what I would wear to her funeral. And you think, why orange? Because orange was her favourite colour, and she absolutely loved flowers. And this particular colour here, when I was a kid, the kitchen cupboards were painted that colour, believe it or not. They were actually painted that colour. And had big flowers on wallpaper, had some yellow wallpaper on it. So yeah, so that's what I wore to her funeral, because she just loved colourful, she just loved orange, was her favourite colour. So to just walk in a shop and find that is pretty amazing. And then this was the jumper that I packed at the last minute with the owl on it. Then when Dad told me, she loved owls, and I didn't even realise that she liked owls as well. So there you go. All these little things aren't coincidences. They're all signs from my mum letting us know that she's okay. And when my dad's time comes, which I hope is not for many, 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 many years, I know that they'll be together straight away, and I know that they will let me know that as well. So take heart. You can have the strongest atheists there is out there, but they will let you know that they're okay. Until next time, this is Tracy.